All right, you are live.
Thank you, Amber. Well, good evening, everyone. Good to see all of you here this evening to be with us. The hour of 7 o'clock having arrived on the 7th of December, 2021, I will now call to order the Common Council of the City of Racine. First order of business after the call to order is the pledge. If everyone who is able, please rise and face the east as you are able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. First item before we get to approval of previous minutes, Alder Tate, are there any excused absences we should enter into the record for this evening?
Yes, Alder Coe and Alder Perez have requested to be excused. It appears Alder Horton is here, so he will not be late.
All right, excellent. Then the next item before us is the approval of council minutes from the 18th and 29th of November. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve said minutes.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve from Alder Tate the second. Is there a second?
Second. Although it
Seconded
says
by
16th and you said 18th.
Oh, my apologies.
Glasses.
Order.
Yes, touche, Alder McCarthy, the 16th and 29th of November. Any discussion on those items now that we've corrected the dates? Seeing no discussion, if everyone could briefly unmute themselves, all those in favor of the minutes from the 16th and 29th of November, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. We'll now move on to a proclamation. This is a proclamation that is a little bit near and dear to my heart as we are celebrating Human Rights Day based on the UN Charter on Human Rights, which was written largely by Eleanor Roosevelt, for whom my oldest daughter is named. So I will read into the record the proclamation, which reads, whereas in 1948, representatives from 50 member states of the United Nations came together under the guidance of Eleanor Roosevelt to devise a list of universal human rights that everyone throughout the world should enjoy. Whereas Eleanor Roosevelt was heavily involved in championing civil rights and social activism and served as chair of the UN Commission on Human Rights when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was drafted. And that on the 10th of December, 1948, General Assembly of the United Nations announced the Universal Declaration of Human Rights featuring 30 rights and freedoms that belong to all people, including political, civil, economic, social, and cultural rights. Whereas on the 10th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Ms. Roosevelt gave a speech to the United Nations called Where Do Human Rights Begin? And whereas the Universal Declaration of Human Rights marked the first time in history when a global agreement put people, not politics, at the heart of its agenda, and dared to say that all people are free and equal regardless of color, creed, and religion. Whereas the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is celebrating 73 years of advancing human rights, and more than 7 decades later, it continues to provide the basis for all international human rights laws. Whereas Eleanor Roosevelt considered the Universal Declaration of Human Rights her most important task during her years in the United Nations, and today, the responsibility to continue promoting respect for these rights and freedoms lies with each of us. Now, therefore, I, Corey Mason, as the mayor of the city of Racine, proclaim December 10th, 2021, Human Rights Day here in the city of Racine, signed herein and my signature affixed. So thanks everyone for helping us remember Human Rights Day. The next part of our meeting is public comments. Tara or Amber, do we have any members of the public wishing to address council this evening?
We do. We have one speaker this evening.
Okay, please proceed with the public comments section of our agenda.
The public comment segment is an opportunity for citizens directly to the Common Council. Speakers will limit their remarks to 3 minutes. There shall be no dialogue or interaction between the speaker and elected officials or staff. This time is not intended to be a debate or discussion. The Common Council shall not hear personal complaints or attacks against any city employee or elected official or any matter related to an individual claim, citation, appeal, or lawsuit. Profane, disruptive, threatening, or conduct that otherwise impedes the safe, orderly, and effective conduct of the Common Council meeting is equally unacceptable during the public comment period, as it all is during all other portions of city meetings. When a group of people representing one viewpoint wishes to address the council, one person should be appointed the designated speaker for the group. Candidates for public office may not use this opportunity to campaign for office. Speakers during the public comment period shall follow all rules of the Common Council and rulings of the chair, including a decision to terminate the remarks if the speaker does not adhere to these rules. Public comment shall be limited to ideas or concerns regarding the city. There will be one speaker this evening. Our speaker is Mercedes Ditson-Letta. Give me 1 second to bring up the timer, please. All right, Mercedes, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and start the timer now. Go right ahead.
Okay. Nice to see everybody. Nice to hear it's Human Rights Day or Human Rights Month or year. It should be Human Rights every day. I'm glad to see about the statement or proclamation. We have to remember that, especially during this time, challenging all the time with our neighbors, our friends, and the people in the city, county, wherever we are. We always are thinking our rights come first. We got to start thinking about all people's rights, human rights. And we all have choices, and I'm going to leave it there for that. My thing about the city is the new map. I printed it out, and of course it's rather confusing for the county and city, even with the printing out of where things are going to be and which districts we're going to be in with everybody. It's going to take a while to learn all that. I'm sure you had fun putting it together. But I hope we'll be getting notices at least by the first of the year, so we know people know where they're supposed to go vote and what's going to be tied together, what areas. Anyway, just a curiosity for all that. So Lakeview Park. Lakeview Park should stay a park. It's by the lake. People go there. They use that area a lot. I used to dance at that hall or park or city center, and it should stay a park and stay and expanded. The burned out building, it would have been better to have just torn it down and made more parking lot for people to come there and enjoy the zoo and the park and the lake and the zoo beach. So please do not provide housing. Go to the parking lots that are a block or so away from the zoo that are also empty. And as I'm going to be finishing up, a little bit to touch on what's going on. Got to protect your soul at all costs. If you haven't heard of Rudolf Steiner, please look him up. He says spirits of darkness are going to inspire their human hosts to find a vaccine that will drive all inclination towards spirituality out of people's souls. So protect your soul at all costs. Rudolf Steiner on vaccination. And I will leave it at that because it's human rights.
Thank you. This concludes the public comment segment.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We will now move on to our committee reports. The first report is the Finance and Personnel Committee. Alder Taft, did you have any items for separate consideration?
I do have one such request.
Please proceed with that item.
Okay, item 955-21. Let me just pull this up real quick. Okay, subject communication sponsored by Mayor Mason on behalf of the city clerk requesting the attached list of alternate early absentee voting locations for all elections in the 2022 calendar be approved. Recommendation of the Finance and Personnel Committee is to approve. And the fiscal note is not applicable at this time. So yeah, just a quick summary of this. I mean, I move to approve the item.
Great. If we could get a second on the item.
Second.
Seconded by President Tate II. Alder Taft, you have the floor.
Right. So this item is about potential alternative polling locations for early voting, satellite voting, and just to clarify, not all of the locations necessarily are going to be used, but we discussed at Finance and Personnel that these locations could potentially be used as alternate locations with our mobile voting unit or in other ways. And so just, I think the intention of pulling this item was to clarify that. So I just wanted to put that out there as that's what this item is about. So does anybody,
Thank you for that, Alder Taft. Any other discussion on item 955-21? Seeing no further discussion, when the clerk calls your name, please vote as you wish.
Alder Jones,
Aye.
Alder Tate, Alder Santiago,
Aye.
Alder Caprillion,
Aye.
Alder Peterson,
Aye.
Alder Horton,
Aye.
Alder West,
Aye.
Alder McCarthy,
Aye.
Alder Pete,
Aye.
Alder Rouse,
Aye.
Alder Taft,
aye.
Alder Meekma,
Aye.
Alder Lemke.
Aye.
That's 13 ayes.
Motion carries. Alder, take the second.
Thank you. I don't have an item for separate consideration, but I did just want to ask some questions in the public sphere about item 0956-21 for the clerk, since it was noted in the public comments, thought we give an opportunity for the clerk to speak to that item.
If we're gonna, if we are gonna do that, if the clerk could clarify President Tate's questions.
Thank you. So this item, and I'll just read it out loud for those who don't know. I'm not asking for separate consideration, but it's communication sponsored by Mayor Mason on behalf of the city clerk requesting the attached polling locations for the 2022 calendar year. I just want to give space to the clerk to describe the current changes in polling and also what the processes will be for notifying constituents of polling place changes.
Clerk
Of course,
Coolidge?
thanks for the question. I'm sorry, thank you for the question, Alder Tate. So because of the census and the redistricting, we did go ahead and take a look at all of our polling locations. The maps were very nicely put together where we were able to fit one polling location for every district. So now every alder in your district, you'll have one location. I know quite a few were split up between two different polling locations, so that will no longer be. We did go ahead and we are trying to approve them this evening. Also, our intention is to reach out to the public. I usually like to hold sending a citywide mailer until we're about 3 weeks out from an election. I find that people are more likely to read them and hold on to them when they know an election is coming. But we do fully intend to do a citywide mailer to let everyone know of their polling location, whether or not it has changed, as well as give out our voteracine.org website, and also to be able to direct people to where the mobile RV will be when we hold absentee voting those 2 weeks before an election. Does that answer your question, Alder Tate?
It does. And if other alders want to ask or clarify as far as further questions regarding polling locations, I'd invite them to do so.
Any other questions on 0956-21? Okay, this was not asked for separate consideration, but it was a good clarifying question.
Actually, I'm sorry. Mayor,
President Tate?
there was one question that I did want to have on the Common Council record as well. And it's a reiteration of what was asked in committee. But this is more for the clerk and also related to polling locations and voting. And kind of the package of things that are coming out of the clerk's office as well. But I asked Clerk Coolidge in committee, as a clerk, from her perspective, why is it important that people vote and as many people as possible vote? And why is that something that's been very intentional from the clerk's office to accomplish? Because I think it's important for folks to know, like, well, why is the city doing all this stuff? There's a reason for that. And I just want to give Clerk Coolidge an opportunity to speak to that.
Clerk Coolidge?
Thank you for the opportunity. So I think we kind of spoke about it a little bit in committee, and my personal view, I want to put that disclaimer out there, but it's definitely that, democracy is how our government runs. And without giving everyone an opportunity whether or not you have transportation, or whether or not, you know, you need help, or filling out a ballot, or, you know, asking just, you know, can someone read the list of names? Obviously, we want to provide that opportunity and those services to the community. So we're very thankful to have the opportunity with the RV to be able to provide it to different parts of the city. And we're excited to see what kind of turnout we get and offer our services and our help to anyone who may need them, or even if it's just to come by and ask questions about where their polling location is on election day, or who's on their ballot. We'll be able to do all of that. So hopefully we'll see a larger turnout, but certainly being able to help the community and have their voice recognized throughout, you know, elections, not only in Racine, but also in the state and the country, is going to be something I really look forward to be able to provide to the community.
Thank you.
Any other questions on item 0956-21? Alder Pete.
Thank you, Your Honor. One quick question. How would the public know of the mobile location?
Clerk Coolidge.
Sure. So not only are we going to have it on our website, which is at voteracine.org, but also we will be noticing in with the mailer for all the change in polling locations, how to get to that website and check it, as well as we're going to have flyers available in the clerk's office of where the mobile RV will be and what hours it'll be located at.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments on item 0956-21? President Tate, is your hand still up, or is that from before?
That was from before. My apologies.
No worries. All right, again, this was not asked for separate consideration, but rather clarification. So if there's no other discussion on this item, I will ask Alder Taft if she knows of any other items for separate consideration.
I do not have any such items at this time.
Okay, then without objection, we will place the remainder of these items on the committee report onto the consent agenda. Moving now on to Public Works and Services Committee report. Alder Jones, did you have any items for separate consideration?
I do not have items for separate consideration, but I do have one item that we need to return to committee.
Okay, could you read that
Do we
item?
need to share one moment? Excuse me. Item 0948-21, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works to submit final payment for contract 2021003 sidewalk replacement phase 1 forward equipment contractor. Recommendation of the Public Works was to completed forward equipment LLC on contract sidewalk replacement phase 1 be accepted and final payment authorized for a total contract amount of $5,048. $548. $522.50. Final payment to include retainage. Fiscal note contract 2021003 was authorized on the resolution number 0083-21 dated February 17th, 2021.
And Alder Jones, you'd like to make a motion to refer this back to committee?
Yes,
Okay.
I would like
I would like
There's,
to refer this back to the Public Works and Service Committee.
okay. So that motion's been made by Alder Jones, seconded by Alder McCarthy. Any discussion on the referral back?
If everyone would like to know, we just need to return it back because we're missing some paperwork from the contractor. It's regarding compliance with the Racine Works program, and they need to submit additional paperwork to see that they are in compliance. So if they're not in compliance, the city would not have to pay them roughly around $70,000.
Okay.
So
Any
this
further,
will give them time to submit all the paperwork they have to make sure they're in compliance.
duly noted? Any further discussion on referring this item back to committee? Seeing no further discussion, when the clerk calls your name, again, this is on item 0948-21, and in the amount of $548,522.50 for the work completed by Forward Equipment LLC. And the motion is to refer this item back to committee. When the clerk calls your name, please vote as you wish.
Alder Jones,
Aye.
Alder Tate,
Aye.
Alder Santiago,
Aye.
Alder Caprillion,
Aye.
Alder Peterson,
Aye.
Alder Horn,
Aye.
Alder West,
Aye.
Alder McCarthy,
Aye.
Alder Pete,
Aye.
Alder Rouse,
Aye.
Alder Taft,
Aye.
Alder Meekma,
Aye.
Alder Lemke.
Aye.
That's 13 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion carries. Alder Jones, did you have any other items for separate consideration?
No, I do not.
Okay, then without objection, these items will be placed on the consent agenda. We'll now move on to the Public Safety and Licensing Committee. Alder Coe is absent this evening, so I will ask Alder Horton if he would do the report. Alder Horton, do you have any items for separate consideration this evening?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, and then without objection, these items will be placed on the consent agenda. Moving on then to the Community Development Block Grant Advisory Board. Alder Pete, did you have any items for separate consideration under the CDBG Advisory Board?
No, I do not, sir.
Okay, then without objection, these items will be placed on the consent agenda. We'll then move on to the Office of the Mayor report. These are all direct referrals. President Tate, would you be willing to conduct the report one by one?
Certainly. Item 0939-21, communications sponsored by Mayor Mason, submitting the attached proposed 2022 Common Council calendar. Move to approve, because we tend to adopt these things separately. So
motion to approve 0939-21, the proposed 2022 Common Council agenda, which is attached. Is there a second on that motion?
calendar.
Second.
Second on the calendar. Any discussion on the calendar? Alder McCarthy.
Yes, just looking over, is there a specific reason we don't have a second meeting in February?
Yeah, if you look at the calendar, and this is a trend that we're continuing from this year, there are several months where there is one meeting a month. And those months generally occur in months where we have elections that coincide. So in those weeks where we have elections, we don't do a meeting that week. And then in the summer months, there are one meeting. So there's 6 months out of the year next year where there is one council meeting per month. It appears as though there's 2 in April, but really that's the outgoing council and the incoming council that are sort of meeting back to back there. So the proposed agenda for next year is to do for half the months, one meeting a month, and for the other half of the months, 2 meetings a month. We have found that gives staff opportunity to get caught up on other work and activities, and committee staff and alders a respite from committee and council every week. When needed, we do call special meetings if necessary, but we have found that the respite of one meeting per month often makes the city more efficient.
If I may follow on, Mr. Mayor, I know in November we have 2 meetings, and I think there's an election that month is focused on local elections.
This is focused on the local elections, but if there are 2 in November, that would have been. Yeah, at this time, it would be appropriate if someone wanted to move to amend that no, oh, I think the reason there is it doesn't coincide with the week of the election. That Tuesday is not the Tuesday of the election.
Okay.
That's the reason.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Any further discussion on? Alder, take the second.
Also, I think, thank you. It would be particularly in November, we just saw what the last fall was in terms of the amount of activity that we had to evaluate and discussions in committee. So I think unless we want to have a lot of very long council meetings throughout next year, it does make sense during some months, even if there is an election, to have multiple meetings, while certainly things ebb and flow in terms of activity throughout the year. I think January and February are kind of two of those months where the activity kind of declines a bit too as well, which we've seen over the last several years.
Yeah, and just a reminder, late October, early November is when we pass our budget on an annual basis. So that would be the other reason to keep that early November meeting. Any further discussion on the calendar? Alder McCarthy, your hand is still raised. Is that from before, or did you have? Okay. All right. See no further discussion. When the clerk calls your name, please vote as you wish.
Alder Jones,
Aye.
Alder Tate,
Aye.
Alder Santiago,
Aye.
Alder Caprillion,
Aye.
Alder Peterson,
Aye.
Alder Horton,
Aye.
Alder West,
Aye.
Alder McCarthy,
Aye.
Alder Pete,
Aye.
Alder Rouse,
Aye.
Alder Taft,
Aye.
Alder Mikma,
Aye.
Alder Lemke.
Aye.
That's 13 ayes, 0 noes.
That motion carries. President Tate II, would you please read the next item?
Item 970, 0974-21, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason at the request of Alder Taft on behalf of the fire department requesting permission to accept $6,577.80 from the state of Wisconsin Emergency Management to support our hazardous materials team training and equipment, and authorize Mayor Mason to sign the funding agreement under grant control number 00422. Fiscal note is the grant is for, as noted, $6,527.80, and there is no local match required. Move to approve.
So motion to approve item 0974-21. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Taft. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion further on this item.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Alder McCarthy.
Yes, thank you. Real quickly, why is this coming in as direct referrals? Is it time sensitive or something as opposed to going through normal committee process?
It is.
Okay.
So that's the reason why.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? See no further discussion. When the clerk calls your name, please vote as you wish.
Alder Jones,
Aye.
Alder Tate,
Aye.
Alder Santiago,
Aye.
Alder Caprillion,
Aye.
Alder Peterson,
Aye.
Alder Horton,
Aye.
Alder West,
Aye.
Alder McCarthy,
Aye.
Alder Pete,
Aye.
Alder Rouse,
Aye.
Alder Taft,
Aye.
Alder Mikma,
Aye.
Alder Lemke.
Aye.
13 ayes, 0 noes.
That motion carries. That does complete the reports. Just before we go to the consent agenda, I did wanted to, I don't think it needs separate consideration at all, but under the CDBG advisory board, I did want to just make note of the fact that one of the items was to expand with CDBG funds, the community center hours for the entirety of 2022. We used some ARPA dollars to do that for the remainder of this year, and it was successful enough that we've decided to carry that over into 2022. I think it's a great benefit to the community that uses those community centers and enjoys those community centers. So I just wanted to make note of that before we move on to the consent agenda. With that, we will move on to the consent agenda. President Tate, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Pete. Everyone could unmute themselves briefly. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda passes. Thank you, everyone. We will now move on to the Common Council announcements. Announcements are limited to recognition of city residents and employees, memorials, and non-political community events. Discussion of matters related to government business is prohibited. Are there any announcements this evening? President Tate.
Thank you. So since this is our last meeting of the year, it appears to be as Common Council, there's a bunch of stuff that's going to happen between now and the next meeting, one of which is my nephew's 19th birthday. He'll be turning 19 on, 19, on December 10th, I believe, or the 11th. I can't remember. I know, right? I'm pretty sure it's the 11th. But yeah, I just want to wish him a happy birthday, as well as a Merry Christmas to everyone who's celebrating, a Happy New Year to everyone who's celebrating, a Happy Kwanzaa to everyone who will be celebrating, and any other holidays that occur between now and the next time we get together. And Happy New Year. And everyone to stay safe, socially distanced. Don't gather with folks who you haven't been around, because we already see that things are trending in a not so positive way, as is expected with the holidays. But please be safe, please be cautious, and love on each other as need be, because in these challenging times we need the connection. So thank you.
Thank you, President Tate II. Alder Jones.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just like to shout out to my youngest grandson, who turned 8 December 3rd. Wishing him a belated happy birthday.
Very nice. Very nice. Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Well, I as well want to just express gratitude and thanks for working with this council this year. I'm hoping next year we can get through COVID well enough to actually meet in person. I also have a couple of birthdays in my household to celebrate, though. My son Corey has a birthday on the 20th, and my daughter Eleanor has a birthday on the 26th. So we have 2 birthdays bookended around Christmas every year. It's always an exciting time, but I want to wish them a happy birthday, since it'll be into January before we meet again. Seeing no further announcements, again, I do want to give thanks to the council and to city staff and all the hard work that they do to provide safety and services to our residents moving into the holiday season. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all. With that, I will ask Alder West if we could entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Alder West. Thank you for the second, Alder Tate. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries. We're adjourned. Stay safe, everyone. Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays.
Happy